Moving on, our next most dissonant interval, we're now moving into the realm of intervals that are considered truly dissonant rather than partly consonant. But as mentioned in the lesson, that's truly a subjective judgment, and there are musical cultures and people who feel that the intervals that we consider dissonant, that we're calling dissonant in this course, are actually quite consonant. In any case, the interval in question is the minor seventh. Listen to that, and maybe you can decide if you think that is dissonant or consonant. Of course, it's the inversion of our next interval, the major second. We've moved our C up one octave, inverting the interval from a minor seventh to a major second. And so, as with in many cases, those two intervals are considered to have a similar level of dissonance. Where would the minor seventh resolve to if we're going to resolve from tension to resolution? We could resolve to the fifth by jumping down 2 steps, or even the major sixth sounds more consonant and more calm than the minor seventh. You can resolve like this. Okay, our next interval, as we have already mentioned, is the major second, which we saw here, but we're going to start on the tonic again and move to the major second here. To most people, that interval sounds quite dissonant, and it's an interval with a very easy resolution down to the unison. I'm going to jump up an octave. Hear it a little more clearly that way. Tension, resolution. And now we come to the more dissonant end of the spectrum, and we have 3 interesting intervals. First, the major seventh. To most people, that sounds especially tense. Again, the resolution is very easy. This is the leading tone, as you will recall, of the scale, and it wants to resolve upward to the tonic. Now that resolution from leading tone to tonic, major seventh to octave, is especially important when we come to the question of chords. In fact, it's an absolute rule among composers of a certain style that the major seventh has to resolve upward to an octave when it's a part of a chord, and you'll notice that in Unit 6. The inversion of the major seventh is the minor second. And to most people, this is the most dissonant interval of all. Listen to how tense and nasty that sounds. It can resolve in the same way that the leading tone does when it's a seventh. If it's a second, a minor second, it can resolve to the unison. It can also resolve downward to minor third. And here we see how all of these are relative, right? This is more dissonant, much less dissonant, but still not nearly as consonant as the octave or the fifth. Now, we have reserved a special interval for our very final one, the tritone, and that is known as either an augmented fourth by taking a perfect fourth and moving up one, or a diminished fifth by taking a perfect fifth and moving down one. tritone, and it was known in history as the devil's interval, because to them it sounded so nasty, it sounded devilish. And this interval resolves in a couple of different ways. It can resolve with both notes moving, like this, outward. So the bottom note moves down. Sorry, you probably can't see that. And the upper note moves up to a minor sixth, which again is not as consonant as a fifth, but it's a lot more consonant than the tritone minor sixth. Tension, resolution. The tritone can also resolve inward by semitone to a major third, like this. And you'll encounter that a fair bit in Unit 6. I encourage you to spend time at a keyboard at a piano if you have access to one, experimenting with these intervals. The best way to learn them is to spend time on your own, getting to know them. Pretend they're new friends, that you're getting to know their personalities, because each of them has a very distinctive sound, and if you get to know them intimately, it will very much increase your understanding and appreciation of music.